Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SpoilerCast. Today's topic is going to be on Jessica Jones, the new Netflix series from Marvel. Well, what do you think?
First reaction of watching the whole thing, I love it. I don't really have...
All right, that's the end. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. I love the show. I love all the characters in the show. I think everybody did a great job.
So in other words, we're just giving 10 across the board.
Exactly.
We have no critiques, nothing bad about it.
This is a 10 out of 6.
I gotta agree. I think this was awesome. I had low expectations just because I wasn't sure how well they were going to adapt it from the comic book. And they definitely went in a different direction.
They did go in a different direction. They did do some good aspects of the comic book. They did bring to the life of the actual show.
Right.
Some of the sets that they used actually were very, very direct from the comic books.
Oh, her office, number one, and the first shot when it shows her throwing the man,
Yeah.
right through the window, that was straight out of the comic book, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only negatives I have towards the show were a few characters. Other than that, when it was campy in the right way.
Exactly.
Jessica herself, Kristen Ritter, she was dazzling, even though she's Jewel, she's not Dazzler.
Spectacular.
No, she was spectacular, and she hammed it up in all of the right ways. I'm a big fan of film noir, and that's really what this show was really going for. It really seemed like it was going for the dark and gritty. A woman walks into the detective's office, and she's nothing but trouble. And Jessica seems to pull off being both.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's the trouble and she's the detective.
Yep.
She brings with her lots of baggage, and with that baggage, I thought the show handled it really well. What did you think of them doing those adult content?
I agree. It was very much a lot of adult content. It fit very well with the story that Jessica Jones tries to portray in the first place.
Right.
It
didn't seem out of place at all.
No, I mean, with the fact that there's a lot of PTSD that she's going through, that's one of the darker aspects of the show.
Right.
And then all the adult content with
just sex period.
the sex period is just like
there now for just to clarify, there is no nudity, but there are sex scenes. There's
exactly.
several actually.
Yeah.
And each one I don't know how to put it, but they felt real. Where a lot of movies, it's over sexualized, it's dramatic,
right.
it's hot,
Yeah.
They do it, to build attention. Jessica Jones felt real,
right?
Yeah. They were to portray anything from my own sex, they were fast,
right? It wasn't anything that seemed staged or anything.
No, they didn't linger too long.
No,
and when they did, if the characters felt awkward when they were supposed to feel
exactly.
awkward, because sex isn't always not awkward. It's sometimes
usually pretty awkward, especially for first time.
I think we're giving away too much of our own sex lives. But.
I think that's just every sex life, unless I don't know. Maybe we're just awkward people.
Maybe, but really, I mean, they pulled it off in a really realistic way. The characters that got together, this is a spoiler cast, so I am going to spoiler. Jessica and Luke, first episode, they have sex, and it didn't linger too long on will they, won't they. They obviously will they, and they play on that throughout the series. At first it starts as a purely physical relationship, and they learn they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
One of the things they have in common, obviously, is that they have superpowers.
Exactly.
How did you think that they portrayed the superpowers?
I think they did a good job portraying the superpowers. That's one of the things that's actually different from the comic books in a way. Not the superpowers, but the way that they go about showing that Luke Cage didn't know anything about any other people with superpowers.
Right.
In the comic book, he knows tons of people.
Iron Fist specifically.
Exactly.
But
he knows
this
a lot
is,
of people. His relationships, he really only dates people with superpowers.
Right. Now, this isn't an origin story by any means.
No.
Both of them have had powers for some time. Not a long time, but some time. And they've just learned to deal with them. That shows that Jessica had tried to be a hero at one point, similar to the comics. But now she's over that. Exactly. So now she uses her superpowers when,
she really needs to.
Yeah, when she needs to, or when they're convenient.
Exactly.
Same thing with Luke. He's laying low in his bar, which leads me to believe he probably is a fugitive, similar to how he was in the comics. So, and he doesn't have any interest in being a hero either.
Right.
It was really cool, and the way they portrayed him. It wasn't anything fantastical, really, which is hard to say about superpowers.
Right.
But she jumps really high a couple of times. She punches some people really strongly. She breaks about 1,000 locks in the show. Every time there's a locked door.
She knocks people out all the time.
She does one punch. And they never talk about it, but all those people have brain damage because they were out cold for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, one point of contention I did have, and I'm not sure if you saw this too, is Luke both seem to have super strength and non-super strength.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seemed like he was having a hard time with normal strength. He was just bulletproof. And other times it seemed that he could throw a man across the room.
Yeah.
Now, the actor portraying him, he is physically built anyways.
Right.
So it could have been that. Did you think he had super strength in this?
It seemed quite a bit like that. He could level pretty well with Jessica a couple times throughout the show.
Right. They did have super sex, so.
Yeah, they did. And it might have just been the fact that he was trying to hold back.
Okay, right.
While
right.
he doesn't want anybody to know that he's got
these powers, right?
Special powers.
That makes sense. He was just single-handedly fighting people. The only time it did show that somebody else kind of knew what happened is when the guy tried to stab him with a beer bottle.
Right in the neck, yeah.
Yeah, and it did not work.
Nope. The guy specifically says that. He's like, that didn't work.
With powers, how did you think they portrayed the Purple Man? Do you think that was realistic, or do you think that was, faithful to the comics?
Yeah, in a way, it was faithful to the comics. I think it seemed pretty realistic the way they portrayed him.
The virus?
Yeah. It seemed like, obviously with the virus, it made it more of a realistic situation.
A little bit more grounded. Did you like that he wasn't purple?
I mean, I didn't mind. It
didn't bother you?
It didn't bother me. Like, obviously, the scenes when they showed him at first, you just see like a purple like
a haze,
haze around the whole scene.
Every time she thought of him, it went purple, and purple was his favorite color. He was always dressed in it. My main problem with it was after he got souped up, when he had his father give him more powers using the fetus. I thought they could at least do a little bit more of an homage to him being purple, like maybe tint his skin a little bit more.
Yeah,
they did when he finally yelled at Jessica towards the end. He had purple veins pop out.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a nod there, and I get that being purple was not part of his powers in this series, but I was hoping for a little bit more of a nod.
Yeah.
The other problem I had with it is it took 13 episodes for anybody to wear headphones to block out his power.
Yeah.
Nobody thought of that. No, not a single person was like, hey, I'm gonna put on these beats and I'm gonna take out the Purple Man.
Yeah. Nope.
And he's been terrorizing people for years.
Exactly. He's been doing it since he was a kid.
And Jessica's been dwelling on him with her PTSD. And then you had Patsy, who we'll get into in a minute, also did. And no one until the last episode thought to put any headphones on.
Nope.
So a little bit of a suspension of disbelief there. A little bit of skipping around with logic. But overall, it was solid the way that they did the Purple Man. And he was definitely the best villain, I think, that Marvel's had so far.
I think so, too. And, obviously, it went different from the comic book, the way they did it. Because I think in the comic, he was originally in jail.
Yep, for the majority of her series.
The majority of the series. And
he was more just the boogeyman that was behind.
Exactly.
In this, he's out there stalking her from the beginning.
Right.
He shows up in the first episode.
Right, and then, they can't get him in jail because of his powers.
Exactly. The other thing I did want to talk about is the scene when they're at the house. So she goes to stay with him for a little while. And it was so neat just seeing so much screen time between our main villain and our main hero, our main protagonist and antagonist, just kind of hanging out together.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely tension filled, but
but
it was so neat just to see them kind of talk for a little while. There didn't have to be a huge climactic battle for them to be in the same room together.
Nope.
And I think that was some of the best scenes.
Yeah.
Specifically with the neighbor. Do you remember her name?
Mrs.
DeLuca. The neighbor comes over and Jessica's clearly annoyed with her presence, and the Purple Man picks up on this, and David Tennant does an amazing job of almost sharing chemistry with Jessica Jones.
Exactly.
In that moment, him and Ritter, seem to have the same disdain for this lady.
Yeah.
And it was the only time I saw Jessica pleased with his powers, other than when he saved that couple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She seemed like she was not necessarily content with the situation, but she was at the same time not happy either, but she wasn't upset about
she wasn't.
the situation.
Yeah, she wasn't angry at him in that moment, and it was neat. It was almost led to believe if he wasn't the worst person on earth, maybe
right,
maybe he could have used his powers for good.
Yeah.
And then after that, he did when he saved that couple.
Yeah,
well, couple's a strong word. That family with the guy with the shotgun.
Yeah,
her
reaction to that was pretty funny. She basically realizing holy shit, if he's gonna be a hero, I'm gonna have to be here with him
24/7.
Yep.
Yeah, she has to be his moral compass. And part of me, thought it might be cooler if that's how that ended.
Right.
How the series ended with her going, "Oh, this is my only choice." Instead, how did you feel? It was a very Man of Steel ending.
Yeah.
She breaks his neck, and that's the end of it.
Yep.
So yet again, they finally have a good villain, and he's done.
Yep.
it was very Star Wars of them to just kill off the villain they had. What? How did you feel about him being done with the series?
I almost thought that they were going to continue him on, like at least have some way of maybe making you think he was dead, or think he had disappeared, or something.
Maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. showing up, putting him. Coulson shows up, and that's the tie-in, and puts him in a super jail. And instead, nope, she just breaks his neck. I mean, it was cool. I believe that she would do that,
right?
But
she got to that point to where like.
That was her breaking point. And his breaking point. Yeah. Pun intended. But I was just sad to see him go, if that sounds right. I mean, he was the most vile human being, but
exactly. He was
but he was such a good bad guy.
He was.
He's right up there with Kingpin. I also love, I love Kingpin and Daredevil.
David Tennant just
he was amazing. Speaking of Kingpin, were you sad there wasn't more of a tie-in with Daredevil?
I was. I really wanted to see Daredevil at least appear.
Right. I liked seeing him be mentioned once
then,
by Night Nurse, Rosario Dawson's character, Claire Temple.
Claire Temple, yeah. And then like the fact that she was in there was cool.
Right. And it's definitely set up because she's supposed to have a romantic relationship with Luke.
Luke Cage,
yeah. In his series. So that definitely, like, I saw the chemistry there. Like, you could see that actually working, and just having her in this series ties in well. Also, I don't know if you guys caught the Easter egg there. There was the detective. I don't remember his name. One of the detectives from Daredevil showed up in one scene towards the end of Jessica Jones.
I can't remember his name, but
I don't remember his name either. But one of the asshole detectives.
Yeah.
He showed up in one scene. So there was a little bit of tie-in. You could tell there were a couple of streets. I don't have any specifics, but there were a couple of streets that were the same from Daredevil. So, I mean, you felt like they were in the same world.
Yeah.
I did think Jessica Jones did a better job with lighting. Daredevil definitely made Hell Kitchen seem like hell.
Yeah, it was very dark, very...
Right. And Jessica Jones did a good job of showing it as, like, this is New York. Sometimes the sun comes out.
Yeah.
It wasn't Gotham City, She was just walking down the street.
He went out, it was, like, nighttime.
Of course. I mean, there were logistics of it.
Until night, and then they went out. Yeah.
Right, but like there was never ever people on the street.
No.
And Jessica Jones, there's extras. There's people walking down the street. It shows her getting a cup of coffee from, bodegas and stuff. So I did like how it used more dynamic lighting. The colors were better. I mean, it was shot beautifully. Like I said, we don't have too many negatives. The one final thing I do want to talk about is what we didn't like about it. I loved Hellcat and I loved Patsy's origin story, how they did duel. I didn't love Simpson at the end. Will Simpson.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to call him Jack today, and you kept correcting me. I don't know where I got Jack from.
Know.
I loved him as the cop who just wanted to do right.
Right.
But his transformation into Nuke, I liked when he was the character. I thought those fight scenes were neat. But I didn't believe that, he went from full-on good guy to full-on bad guy that quick.
Yeah, it kind of went that pretty quick.
Yeah, they tried to skip through that. They tossed another origin story in there for Nuke, as he's called in the comics.
I guess you could say that in a way it didn't, because there was still some morality in him.
Of course,
he was trying to be with Patsy, try to like protect her in a way.
But it also seemed like he was putting on a front to me. I don't know if that was correct, but sometimes I felt like he was just trying to get to Jessica through there. And also, I didn't buy, why did he want to kill Jessica? I understood he was insane from the pills, but I just didn't buy that, okay, now I'm just going to murder these people.
There was no rationale to that at all.
Right, and he also killed the veteran cop, which... Why do they have to keep killing the old black people?
I don't know.
They killed
Ben Urich.
Ben Urich too, and it was the same character. Did you notice that?
I did.
It was the same role.
Yeah.
And then they kill him off, and Simpson just killed him off. I like when they kill people in cold blood. It's very The Departed, because that's how people die. It's not always dramatic.
Right.
But in this, I mean, I felt like that character had more to do. He definitely had more of a role to play, and. Why did Will kill? There was no reason for him to kill him.
No, I the second time I watched it too, because Dave was watching it and I caught him watching it, and I was sitting there next to him.
Right.
Just Dave's reaction while watching that, so you know.
So I mean, I was a little disappointed with his character growth, regression. I don't know. If you caught him calling his crew his boys, that's directly from the comic book. Mm-hmm. That was his squadron. He called his boys when he would go on missions. And finally, the final character I want to go on, because I have a little bit of a rant, and I'm going to try to rein it a little bit, is the neighbor, not Mr. Luca,
no,
the twin. The redheaded twin who lived next door. When she first showed up, I thought it was cool. Some people who live in the city are strange. Sometimes we all have strange neighbors that we think are weird, but they're our neighbors. You learn to love them. And then after her brother dies, she goes batshit insane and is the most annoying character on the entire show.
Yep.
They took somebody who you could believe was real and strange too far, and then when she led the revolt with the other members of the support group, did you buy that at all? Like they're just attacking Jessica?
Not necessarily the attacking Jessica part, but like the fact that she did go insane. Like I totally bought that at least.
Right, with finding out her brother, you know.
Right, not just her brother, but like the way she was before, like with her brother, she was already super protective of him.
Yeah, in a strange way, like changing diapers.
Exactly.
Like, am I incorrect? Was that a diaper
I don't know
or was
if
that
it was
underwear?
a diaper, if it was just like underwear,
but like she granted him permission to like leave the house and stuff.
To tie his shoes.
So yeah, and to tie his shoes.
Like that, yeah.
So I mean, they already had a strange relationship, but when and I guess more like her role in that episode with all the support group who knew what, not necessarily knew what Jessica went through, but knew that she had faced the Purple Man before, and then just turn on her and attack her like it's her fault. And then I have to feel sympathy when David Tennant's character set her up to die in the bar.
Yeah,
I didn't care. Same thing when Malcolm felt bad for her and showed her where her brother was, in the sea. I didn't care.
That scene was just weird to me. I didn't want Malcolm to have anything to do with her anymore.
And they were supposed to be friends then, and I didn't buy that. And also, like you said, it just detracted really from the episode. I felt like that time could have spent elsewhere, maybe characterizing Malcolm more.
Yeah, which that was another thing that was different, which was interesting the way they did him.
How he became the neighbor instead of the kid from the comic.
Yeah, because he was a high school kid that was basically like a fanboy of Jessica Jones as like a superhero, and then just wanted everything to do with like helping her.
Right, but I do like Malcolm. He's definitely a cool character, and I liked at the end how he took that role, how he answered the phone, alias investigations, how can we help?
Like associate.
Do you think this is setting up Heroes for Hire? Because the people that called weren't mysteries. They weren't like, hey, I need you to find this person. It's, hey, I need you to beat this person up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you think that might be it?
I think it might. I don't know for sure if it's Heroes for Hire, but
something like that. Maybe leading up to like maybe Luke Cage doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's Iron Fist role. Him and Luke started Heroes for Hire. Fun thing, Jerry, her lawyer, it was gender swapped. He was Jaren Hogarth in the comics, and he was Iron Fist's personal lawyer, and then the Heroes for Hire personal lawyer.
Yeah.
Now that she's disgraced. And we'll get into her story because I liked her as a character.
That was
cool.
Her whole thing. Just
you know what? Let's not get to it later. Let's go into it real quick right now. She was the only human character really on the show. She's the only person's growth just felt real. Like she was going through a terrible divorce. She had a young hot assistant who she was falling in love with,
right.
and she was also bending the rules with being a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I bought her role until her turn. When she helped out the Purple Man, I bought that she was trying to do whatever she wanted to do, but I didn't buy necessarily that she would.
She was literally that desperate to
cut the cord and let him free because she knew what he could do. She saw it.
Yeah.
So
she knew what he could do, and then I think she realized a lot more afterwards how
Death by 1,000 Cuts
was. Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, but I too. When she at the end when she helps Jessica get off, you see Jessica being mad about it at first, and then she kind of comes to terms realizing this is her only way to get free, of the Purple Man and be done with this whole thing. So they kind of have an understanding at the end there. Do you think now she's disgraced? She got kicked out of her firm. Do you think that might not necessarily set up for Heroes for Hire, but her representing the heroes further down the line?
Potentially, yeah.
Because I don't think Jessica necessarily, has one up on her. I don't think Jerry owes her one, but they might play it off that way.
Right.
And finally, I know I keep saying finally, and one last thing, but this show is so good and so deep that we keep coming up with more things.
More and more.
We skipped over Patsy Walker a little bit. What did you think about her introduction and the dual origin story of Hellcat?
I mean, there's a little bit there for them that, the normal person wouldn't know who. No, that was anything.
Now she's a deep cut. Patsy Walker was a Marvel character before they were Marvel. It dates way back when they were Timely Comics, and she was just she was a model, and then she was a cover girl, and then was she a TV show host? In the show she was she in the comics too?
I don't remember what she was in the
comics. But later on they made her an Avenger, and she learned martial arts and she became Hellcat. I also think she did have superpowers in the comic. But in this, obviously, she doesn't.
No.
So, I mean...
kind of did a little bit when she took that pill.
When she took the pill,
that was cool.
I thought that was cool, especially because they were like, "Oh, it's gonna kill you." It didn't play it off like, "Oh, she's strong enough to handle it." She immediately went into cardiac arrest.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I thought they played that off real nice, but she did definitely get that adrenaline from it. Like you said, earlier, you said maybe this is gonna get her hooked and because she already wanted to be a hero.
Yeah.
Maybe this pushes her to be a vigilante.
Exactly, and she had already been going through the Krav Maga classes.
Yep, getting the training, and she wanted to protect herself, learning how to disarm people. Then then she also got a gun from Simpsons.
And
so
at that point had seen some shit, obviously. So
right,
that makes it a little bit easier to get into a role like that.
she had that badass Daredevil, not Daredevil walk, Devil May Cry. It looked like she had the headphones on walking into that place. It was very Devil May Cry-esque when she walked in there. So I'm excited to see her maybe make a return as a hero. I'm excited for all the stuff they set up for Iron Fist with Jerry rather. Luke Cage. Jessica was amazing. Sad to see Purple Man go.
Yep.
And if you take anything from this video, that neighbor was freaking annoying.
God.
Anything else you want to add?
I mean, the one thing that I just thought about, when Jessica would go into the attorney's office and talk to Jaren, she would just bust through the door, tell her what she wanted or whatever. They'd argue a little bit, and she'd walk out, leave the door open.
Yeah, she never closed the door.
She never closed the door. It was probably like 4 or 5 times that she did that, and I just caught my eye every time. I just laughed.
You're right, because Jerry would look up, damn it, she didn't shut the door. Because
Right.
you know she has to get up and shut the door.
And
or
she
ask
wanted-
her girlfriend, her assistant, Pam, can you please shut the door?
Yeah. That was just one thing that just made me laugh. I loved it.
Well, that's what we have on Jessica Jones. If you want to check out any of our other stuff, stay tuned. We'll be covering. We might do another topic on Jessica Jones with a couple people that haven't seen it before. As more things develop, check out our other videos on Civil War, our reactions to that trailer. Check out our main podcast, Cave Trolls Cast, and keep watching.